BHC audio test 1, 2, 3. BHC audio test 1, 2, 3.
Good morning, everybody. We'll be starting momentarily. We're just waiting for two members to join the call. We have received no regrets this morning. And we'll wait 2 more minutes for members to join the call. Like I said, we did not receive any regrets today, but we do have quorum. So if in 2 minutes we don't have any other members joining, we'll proceed. Well, noting that we do have a quorum, we'll proceed. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Built Heritage Committee meeting of February 11th, 2025. I'd like to call the members to order. This hybrid meeting is being facilitated through Zoom and is being held on the traditional territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation, the original custodians of the unceded land in which the city of Ottawa is located. We extend our respect to all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people for their valuable past and present contributions to this land. Since this committee meeting is being streamed live on the Ottawa City Hall YouTube channel, I'd like to remind participants to please keep your microphones muted until I call upon you until I call upon you to speak. For those participating here in the committee room, please use the microphone in front of you and keep your computer muted. I will provide each committee member with the opportunity to ask questions or comment on each item in the order in which they raise their hand in Zoom. For panelists, the raise hand option is found at the bottom of the participants list. For those calling in, please press *9 to raise your hand. The committee coordinator and I will be watching for those cues. Members are also reminded to submit any motions, visual supports, or declarations of interest in writing to the coordinator at their earliest opportunity. Although the deadlines have passed to register to speak and provide written submissions to this committee, residents can still make written submissions to council. If you have technical difficulties signing into the meeting, you can contact the committee coordinator. A reminder that if participants are having technical issues, they can also utilize the backup telephone number provided by the coordinator. I've received no regrets at this time, but before we proceed, I'd like to ask the committee coordinator to do a roll call of all members.
Councillor Kelly. Member Quinn.
Present.
Councillor Troster.
Here.
Member Madigan.
Here.
Councillor Leeper.
Here.
Member Legault. Vice Chair Plount.
Ici.
Chair King.
Here.
We have quorum, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, are the minutes noted on the agenda for Tuesday, December 10th, 2024 confirmed? Confirmed. Thank you so much. Our first item is the designation of 1121 Wellington Street West under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. There are registered speakers, so we will hold that item. The next item is application for new construction at 35 Mackay Street, a property designated under Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act located in the New Edinburgh Heritage Conservation District. There is only the application team that is registered as speakers at this time. I don't know if Heritage Ottawa would like to speak to this item, if this item passes, or if it's the intent of the committee to pass this item. So I see that there is no requirement for Heritage Ottawa to speak. Is there any interest amongst the committee to hold the item? Seeing none, is this report carried? Carried. Thank you so much. So this report will be submitted to the Planning and Housing Committee on February 19th, 2025. The next item is designation of 343 Bronson Avenue under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. There are no registered speakers. There was correspondence from Heritage Ottawa. Just wanted to check once again whether there would be interest in Heritage Ottawa addressing the committee if it was the will of the committee to pass this item. No, and I see that they are indicating no. So is it the will of any committee members to hold this item? Seeing none, is the report carried?
Carried.
Carried. Thank you. So this report will be submitted to City Council on February 26, 2025 for consideration. The next item is repeal of bylaw designating 6295 Fourth Line Road under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. There are no registered speakers. Once again, just asking Heritage Ottawa if they would be interested in speaking to this specific item if the committee's will was to move the item forward. We'll hold the item if you want to speak to it. Yeah. Okay, so we will hold that item for comments. And since we are just working through the consent agenda, we also have status update for Built Heritage Committee inquiries and motions for the period ending January 24th, 2025. There are no registered speakers. Is this report received? Received. Thank you so much. So we'll go back to the first held item, designation of 1121 Wellington Street, and we do have a presentation from staff.
Thank you. Good morning. So today I'm here to present on the designation of 1121 Wellington Street West, also known as the Toll Keeper's House. And next slide, please. So 1121 Wellington Street West is located on the north side of Wellington Street in Hintonburg between Sterling Avenue and Carruthers Avenue. The property has frontage on Wellington and a small frontage on Carruthers. The building on site is 2 stories in height, features stone, metal siding, and red brick cladding. And the ground floor includes a traditional storefront with large curved display windows topped with stained glass. The central stained glass panel depicts a mortar and pestle, referencing one of the building's former occupants, a pharmacy. And next slide, please. So 1121 Wellington Street West was constructed in 1888 as a toll keeper's residence on the former Richmond Road. Until the 1920s, Richmond Road, now Wellington Street in parts, was a toll road that was owned and operated by the Bytown and Nepean Road Company. So it was owned and operated privately. Toll keepers employed by the company would collect fares at toll gates and often lived in residences that were provided by the company at or near those toll gates. This property served as a toll keeper's residence until 1895, when an extension of the Ottawa Electric Railway into Hintonburg opened and a portion of the road was purchased by the newly incorporated village. So that same year, the toll gate was moved west towards present-day Island Park, and the subject property transitioned to commercial and office occupancy. This building is a rare example of a toll keeper's residence that's still standing, likely the last of its kind in Ottawa, and is directly associated with the growth and development of Hintonburg and the city of Ottawa in the late 19th and early 20th century. And next slide, please. So since 1896, the building has housed several significant tenants and businesses. Until 1907, 1121 Wellington West was the office of Dr. Israel G. Smith, who was the first doctor to practice within Hintonburg, as well as the village's first medical officer of health. From 1907 to 1958, the building was occupied by several different pharmacies under a few different owners. And from 1958 to 2010, it was occupied by 2 different cobblers. So first Lewis's Shoe Repair until 1972, and Tony's Shoe Repair until 2010. So this property meets 5 of the 9 criteria for designation under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. It has historical and physical value as an example of a toll keeper's residence and strongly supports the historical character of Wellington Street West in Hintonburg. Staff are recommending that this property be designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act and that council issue a notice of intention to designate. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. We do have a number of registered speakers. Our first registered speaker is Jean Inch from Hintonburg Community Association.
Good morning. My name is Jean Inch, and I'm the chair of the History and Heritage Committee of the Hintonburg Community Association. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the recommendation to designate the Toll Keeper's House at 1121 Wellington Street. The Toll Keeper's House has been an integral part of Hintonburg's architectural, residential, and commercial history since the late 1800s. It represents Hintonburg's evolution from a rural area with farms, country estates, and workers' cottages or houses to an incorporated village, to one of Ottawa's earliest suburbs, to the vibrant walkable community it is today. Situated on Hintonburg's main street between 2 designated properties, the building has been repurposed to serve the evolving and growing needs of the neighborhood. The Toll Keeper's House, a doctor's home and office, a pharmacy, a shoe repair shop, and now an organic skin care shop, which demonstrates the evolution of Hintonburg. The house, as Greg said, it was built in 1880 by the Bytown and Nepean Road Company for the toll keeper, who collected tolls for the maintenance of Richmond Road from Hintonburg to Bell's Corners. The tickets to pass cost 25 cents for a 2-horse vehicle on wheels and 15 cents for a 1-horse vehicle on wheels. And the people who paid these tolls could be people out for a Sunday drive, farmers getting their cows to the pastures west of Hintonburg. In 1888, the Toll Keeper's House was destroyed by fire. According to the archival records of the Bytown and Nepean Road Company, the new toll house was built in 1890 by the young architect M.C. Eady. Edie is best known for the Aberdeen Pavilion at Lansdowne Park. In 1893, Hintonburg incorporated as a village in order to secure electric streetcar service from downtown Toronto along Richmond Road. The arrival of the streetcar spurred population growth as civil servants and middle-class professionals moved into the neighborhood, and as commercial enterprises, healthcare institutions, and industries were established. No longer needed for the toll keeper, the road company rented the property to Dr. Israel Smith in 1895 as his home and office. As the Hintonburg's first doctor and medical officer of health, he served the community in the toll keeper's house until 1907 when he moved across the street. Dr. Smith practiced medicine in Hintonburg for over 40 years and was a prominent citizen involved in several community endeavors, including the formation of the West End Municipal Association in 1919, an earlier version of the Hintonburg Community Association. In 1907, the building was sold and converted to a pharmacy with interior fittings, including pharmacist shelves, cupboards, drawers, counter, and cash register. The stained glass window over the doorway shows a mortar and pestle. The curved windows have been topped by stained glass motifs. The building housed a pharmacy for 50 years. In 1958, another essential service began operating out of the building. For 50 years, it was a shoe repair shop. The current owner, Tony, ensured the preservation of the original pharmacy fittings and exterior, making it one of the conditions for renting the building to the organic skincare shop. He is to be commended. From an architectural point of view, the building represents typical commercial residential buildings along Wellington Street West, with the shops on the ground floor and the residences above. The building is beautiful, with its rounded windows and leaded stained glass pharmacy motifs. Standing at the heart of Hintonburg, the toll keeper's house is linked to other heritage buildings that form Hintonburg's traditional main street. In conclusion, I encourage you to accept the recommendation to designate the toll keeper's house, a lasting example of Hintonburg's history. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your delegation. You do have a question from Councillor Leeper.
Really quick, thanks, Jean, for the presentation. You'll be aware that city staff have suggested that the architect, Edie in this case, the fact that it was architected by Edie is not one of the grounds for designating it as a heritage building. Is it important to the Hintonburg Community Association, though, that it was Edie?
Yes, it is, because we're doing research on architects who have contributed to Hintonburg's historic history. Sullivan, what's the other one? Other architect.
Okay.
Anyway, other architects. So for our purposes, it is important that this young architect who made such a mark on the city of Ottawa was actually involved in the rebuilding of this small toll keeper's house.
Thank you. The number of boxes that this one checks, according to staff, are overwhelmingly in favor of designation, but I do appreciate hearing that as well. Thanks for the presentation. Thanks for the work you're doing.
You're welcome.
And thank you for your delegation.
Yes, thank you. Just to say, I think the architect Ms. Inch is thinking of is Werner Nofke.
Thank you, Member Quinn. The next registered speaker is Linda Hode of Heritage Ottawa.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I won't take up much of your time because everybody has already said everything, almost everything that can be said. This is a very important building in Hintonburg, both architecturally and as a representative building on the main street of Hintonburg. The other thing I find most interesting about it is its links to the transportation history, the toll gate and the toll road, which I think many people have forgotten. that we had in Ottawa, even though some people are now starting to talk about bringing it back. You may be interested to know that Hintonburg Community Association in 1993, which was the 100th anniversary of the incorporation of the village, we reinstalled the toll gate. The road was under construction and we had permission. We had a toll gate. We collected tolls using the tickets, reproductions of the tickets that were found in the Ontario archives. We collected a fair bit of money, and I was trying to find the letter that we sent to then Chair, I guess he was the head of the Transportation Department, Mike Shefflin. Some of you might remember him. We sent him a lovely letter telling him how much money we had collected on our toll and recommending that he set some up, because there's always a need for money for transportation, as you well know. I guess that's really, the other thing I did want to say was that the Community Association and Heritage Ottawa, through our walking tours, have made this building, I guess we've highlighted the building. It's very significant. And we always point out the interior fittings, which I know are not included in the designation, and I'm not recommending that they should be. What I am recommending is that if you are in Hintonburg, take a look through the windows or go into the business. Those fittings are really very, very impressive. And we recognize the work that the owner has done to maintain and retain those fittings, and the rest of the building. He's taken excellent care of it. He actually replaced those curved windows a number of years ago, retaining the stained glass, obviously, but he replaced them with, I think, their thermopane windows. So we certainly recommend that you designate this building. It is worthy of it, as your staff have pointed out. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your delegation. I believe that Councillor Leeper has a question for you.
Thank you very much. According to the report that we received in 1893, when Hintonburg succeeded from I guess, city of Nepean, we've done it before and we'll do it again, I'm sure. The toll house moved to closer to Island Park Drive, the toll keeper's residence, sorry. Was that the toll keeper's residence that we did not designate, that is now buried under the Mizrahi building? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It was Bassett. Yeah, I think I figured out where it was, but it is probably under the, or it might be the car lot beside the Cafe Mio restaurant. Not sure.
Okay, I think there was a long discussion about the toll keeper's residence and the fact that that was Bella's restaurant.
Could be.
Yeah, I'm getting some nods.
It's not in Hintonburg. I didn't do a lot of research on it.
Sticking to the boundaries. I will just note that while toll roads, according to the report, while toll roads were ubiquitous in Ottawa, they were very unpopular, with municipalities, merchants, and residents frequently complaining of high fees and maintenance. La plus ça change, eh?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, there's some, actually, I keep thinking of, plus ça change items for the Hintonburg newsletter about snow clearance, bicycles. There are quite a few things that have not changed.
Linda, thanks for your delegation.
Thank you so much as well for the delegation. And I'd also like to thank the Hintonburg Community Association along with Heritage Ottawa for providing correspondence to this committee. The next registered speaker is Larissa Corbuscus.
Hello, sorry, I hadn't registered as a speaker. I just I'm actually the tenant that is in 1121 Wellington Street West, and I've been there now for 15 years, and it's a beautiful, beautiful building, and Tony has maintained it, and I have also maintained it. It's been a place of healing, but my concerns is also, keeping it heritage, and that's great. But I also look what's happened next door to me for like years, and that nothing has been done, and that's really concerns me. I mean, that the building had fallen, but heritage has really not done nothing about it. So I think that's sort of the concern. I don't know. I know that's a whole different issue, and I'm not trying to open that up, but that's just a concern of mine as a tenant.
Well, we appreciate your participation this morning. It's very important for us to hear your concerns. And it's important that you acknowledge that, of course, our considerations are with the Heritage Act, but obviously we are concerned about the general welfare of and the environment in the neighborhood. So we do appreciate your comments. Are there any questions?
No, I spoke to somebody yesterday about what the heritage designation would actually mean, and that's what I thought this, to learn about what it's going to, when it becomes if it becomes a heritage building, what does that entail for me as a tenant and for an owner and stuff, like what does that entail with my business?
Yeah, and I think we are going to have continuing discussions with heritage staff around the impacts of heritage and what does that mean for both rental tenants as well as property owners. So we're starting to have those discussions to ensure that we enhance education around that. Are there any questions from committee for the, sorry, are there any questions for by committee for the delegate? Seeing none, thank you so much for your delegation. We appreciate it. The next registered speaker is Joe Caracheros.
You're muted, Chair.
Okay. Okay, sorry. We're just going to hold for one moment. I think that the streaming discontinued on the YouTube channel. So we'll just fix those technical difficulties and then we'll resume. And Member Quinn, can you hear us now? Okay, perfect. So we concluded our delegations. Are there any questions to staff on this item? Member Madigan.
Thank you, Chair. When the building was being evaluated, you identified the stained glass window as part of the character, but the actual storefront system itself, was that a contemporary system or was it the original storefront?
Through the chair, I believe it's the original storefront. It's likely been altered piece by piece over time, as Linda had mentioned. The glass has likely been replaced at least once, but the actual, I think the window panes and everything or the actual window framing and everything is likely original to at least its installation.
Is it bronze, copper?
I believe it's copper or steel. I haven't actually investigated the material specifically. So
by appearance, it looks like it's copper. So it used to be a very common technology. Now it's a very rare technology. Something perhaps to in the future consider when adding to reasons for designation. It's a very popular system. I think the only other one I know about is Canada's Four Corners building, which had its copper storefront replicated back in 2018. So until I came across this project, this building, I thought it was the only example left, but pointing to its rarity when it used to be quite common. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions on this item? Seeing none, I just had two minor questions, I suppose. So given the recent alterations to the second story, and I think that was just the painted sidings, what implications might this have for future restoration requirements?
it would depend through the chair. It would depend on the scope of the restoration contemplated. I did include red brick cladding as a attribute of this building with that in mind, both in terms of the potential applicability of the grant program to roof restoration in the future, and also to give an indication of what the what potential material could be used for cladding in the upper story if that was contemplated in the future. We do know that it was red brick originally. I think it's still present. It's just covered. So there would be an opportunity for that to be uncovered and restored in the future if they were interested.
I appreciate that answer. And then my other minor question just kind of emerged from the previous delegate that we had. So I was just wondering, what educational tools might be in place that heritage staff can utilize to really educate renters as well as to the importance of heritage designation, how it works. I'm just wondering if you could talk about the resources that are available to residents so that they can understand the potential impacts and the importance, frankly, of the heritage designation process.
Yeah, through the chair, I think first and foremost, heritage staff are always available as a resource. I did speak to Larissa yesterday actually to talk about the potential implications of the designation and work through kind of what potential obligations or responsibilities as a tenant might be. So I think staff are first and foremost a great resource. We're very available through both our heritage@ottawa.ca inbox, over the phone, et cetera. Certainly a lot of our outreach efforts, especially post Bill 23, have focused on property owners, since we've been really upping our efforts to designate properties. But I think certainly, including tenants, renters, and just the interested public in general in our future outreach programs around designation and the way that the designation program works, I think is something that we can take back to make sure that that's also a focus going forward.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I'm hoping that the delegate also appreciates that answer. Seeing no other questions, is the report carried? Carried. Thank you so much. So this report will be submitted to City Council on February 26, 2025 for its consideration. Our next item, which was held, was repeal of bylaw designating 6295 Fourth Line Road under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. I don't think I'm just wondering if the committee requires a presentation for this item. I don't think so. I think the report was pretty straightforward. So if Heritage Ottawa wants to provide a presentation, Linda, the floor is yours.
It's not really a presentation. It's more of a question. In our submission, we did note that the heritage staff were unaware of the fire at the destruction of this designated, yes, it's a designated building. And that kind of, we felt there's a missing link here somewhere. So I'm wondering whether direction from the committee is needed, or whether the staff have already thought of some steps that can be taken to ensure that when a designated heritage building, wherever it may be in the amalgamated city of Ottawa, is in fact reported to heritage staff, who are responsible in a way for ensuring that they have up-to-date information about heritage buildings. I was also a little concerned when I read the fire department's report about the propane tanks very close to the heritage building, and was it ammunition in the garage that presented a lot of difficulties for the fire department, as they pointed out in their report. And whether or not a heritage designation could prevent these things or not, I do not know. But I think the fact that the fire happened, the building was destroyed, and the heritage staff were unaware of it is of concern. Thanks.
We appreciate those comments, and maybe we will just pass that on to staff for comment.
Thank you, Linda. Through you, Chair. I think in this case, it was probably the exception. Usually we work very closely with our colleagues in building code services and emergency services, and they notify us when there is a fire or catastrophic event that damages a heritage building. It could be in this case because there were absolutely no permits required. The building was just destroyed in its entirety, that there wasn't a flag to tell us. But certainly we're in communication with our colleagues in those departments, and we can just flag it next time we talk to double check if the building that was damaged is a heritage building.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I think if that's added to the standard operating procedures of, our first responders and those units to notify heritage staff, that would work towards making staff more aware of these types of situations. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Are there any questions to staff by committee? Member Madigan.
Just a follow-on question for the when a building burns down, would there be any requirement perhaps to send someone out to document it as sort of a last record of the building before it's totally erased?
If it is a designated building, then the usual process is that Building Code Services will notify heritage staff, and we'll work with Building Code Services to determine if a permit is required or if it's an emergency situation where it has to come down right away. If there is time and it is safe, we can require the heritage permit process and look into documentation. So it is a case-by-case basis, but it is something we think about and that we've done in fires when there's been fires in buildings in the past.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, is the report carried? Carried. Thank you so much. So this report will be submitted to City Council on February 26th for its consideration. The next item is in-camera items. We have none. Are there any notices of motion? Seeing none, are there any inquiries? Seeing none. Under other business, we do have a planning circulation listed, site plan control, 315 Chapel Street, 321 Chapel Street, and 8 Blackburn Avenue. We also have another planning circulation listed for information, zoning bylaw amendment and lifting part lot control for 35 Mackay Street and 71 Thomas Street. Is there any other business? Seeing none. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Member Quinn.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if this is the right time, but I just wanted to take a moment today because I learned recently that a very important person in the heritage community in Ottawa that we've known and respected for many years is stepping away from being active, and I'm referring to the former president of Heritage Ottawa and chair of its advocacy committee, David Fleming. And I just, excuse me, I just wanted our group to know and to go on record that how much he has contributed to heritage in the city of Ottawa for over 20 years. And he is still, he's not walking away because, of course, that's impossible from what I know of David Fleming. He is going to stay in touch and be available. And I do know that he has also been a resource for members of the heritage staff. So just to get that on record, excuse me, my throat. Just to get that on record and to personally thank David, and I think on behalf of our committee and all previous committees, for his contribution, knowledge, experience, and always professional approach to all of the work that he's done. So thank you, David Fleming, if you're listening today.
And thank you so much for making that acknowledgement. I think that that's also heartfelt amongst members of committee as well as staff. The numerous times that we would see Mr. Fleming providing really informed delegations have been very impactful to not just this committee, but also to the city in terms of its efforts around the conservation and preservation of our built heritage. So I really want to thank Member Quinn for that acknowledgement. And I don't think that there's any other business, so that we're thankful for that comment. On adjournment, we're adjourned. Thank you so much. The next meeting of the Built Heritage Committee is Tuesday, April 8th, 2025.